The job market is transforming quite rapidly, and as a result, we are put in a position where we constantly have to rethink our career choices, to think whether we've chosen careers that have longevity and where there'll always be opportunities. So as a result of this, and because some people might realize that some of the careers that they've chosen don't necessarily have the necessary longevity or sometimes demand that they initially thought they had, I Know You Know is starting a new series where we'll be chatting to you about how to get into specific fields without qualifications. Now, this is if you've either pursued something else and you want to pivot to something completely different, or if you didn't even go pursue anything, like you didn't study further, but this is something that you're considering to get into without necessarily having to go through the route of studying further and going to a higher learning institution. If this is you, stick around and keep an eye on this series because we'll be covering a different career every time we chat about this. If this is you, stick around and let's get right into the video. Hello everyone and welcome to I Know You Know, your one-stop knowledge sharing platform for all things careers, life after high school, as well as opportunities that are available to you. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. And if you like any part of this video, please like and share with someone else that you think will really benefit from the information that we share here on I Know You Know. As mentioned, we will be tackling how to get into a specific career without qualification. And this week, as you have already seen, we will be tackling how to get into tech without a qualification. So let's get into it. So why tech? Now, tech, as we already mentioned, the job market is changing quite rapidly. But you find that with every change that it undergoes, there is some sort of tech role that comes up, a new tech role that comes up, or a new way that the tech industry is growing, you know? So we thought to start with tech, given that it is at the center of the growth that we are seeing in the job market. And with tech being at the center, it is also one of the fastest growing industries that we do have. And with this in mind, it is definitely a good point to start and explore tech. Keep in mind that tech is very diverse. That's another plus when it comes to tech. It's very diverse, and regardless of what your specific interests are, you are able to find something that is for you based on your interests or the type of person that you are. Some people might work in a front-facing role where they interact with customers, but they are still in tech, whereas other people prefer to work more in the back end and not interact with customers. There is still room for you in tech, regardless of which category you fall into, and that is what's exciting about tech. We'll be getting into the different streams of tech that do exist. Some people get into tech by going through higher learning institutions. You can get a degree, you can get a diploma, there's a lot of certificates that you can get within the tech industry. So there is a way in which you can get into tech via school, via the school route and the higher learning institution route. However, you can very well get into tech also without any qualification, and that is what this video is primarily about. Last but not least, why tech is absolutely important and one of the industries that you should probably explore if you're considering to pivot into something new, is that you can work in formal employment where you do have an employer and you are paid a monthly salary and so forth. There are so many roles in different companies, especially as companies embrace the changes that come with new technologies and the roles that they'll need within their companies. But the beautiful thing about tech is that there is also the opportunity to freelance and really create your own thing. You can even start your own business where you offer your services and your skills to other businesses or even individuals. And so tech does provide that sort of flexibility that you might be considering if you're someone that says, I don't really want to work for someone anymore, I want to do my own thing. Or if you're saying, I want the stability of a salary, tech will still cater for you. So without any further ado, I'm sure I don't need to convince you anymore of why tech is a career that is worth exploring. Let's get into how you can get into tech without studying further. Alright, the very first step that we would recommend is for you to take advantage of free coding courses that you can partake in. Now, a lot of institutions do offer free coding courses, and you might find that with a lot of them, they are remote, they are virtual, and so you can really tune into the sessions from wherever you are, as long as you have a digital device and good connection. So with these in mind, you can explore some of these options. We're going to give you 3, but there are a lot more options that you can explore of institutions that offer these free coding courses. In no particular order, you have Code Academy, She Codes Academy, as well as Rethink Code. Now, usually these institutions do have courses that you can do which don't necessarily need prior learning experience or for you to have had any sort of tech background. Another thing is that given that these courses are remote and they're virtual, you can actually explore and find one that fits your schedule. You might be someone who is working and you're looking for something a little bit more flexible, or you might be someone who is in between jobs right now and has a lot of time, and you can take up a course that doesn't go for a long period but has maybe long hours per day that you can be exploring the whatever course you're doing within the institution and so forth. So try these out. And I know I'm saying course and I'm saying institution, and you're probably thinking, this sounds like I still need to study or whatever the case might be. Go check these institutions out. This differs very much from going to a traditional university or technicon and getting a degree, which normally will take 4 years or so, might even be expensive and so forth. Whereas with these kinds of companies and institutions or organizations, you might find that a course might take a few weeks, months maybe, and some of them even do have bursaries that you can actually apply into, and they even have companies that sponsor them, where after you've done your however many weeks course you do with them, you can get placed in a specific company and actually start getting work experience. So this differs quite a lot from studying the traditional way, if you get what I mean. Alright, so as mentioned earlier, there are different streams that you can get into tech. So we're not going to get into all of them because there are quite a lot, and there are also different combinations of the streams where someone might do multiple streams and find a niche space in which they work within the tech industry. So I'll touch on a few of them and give you an idea of what exists. But of course, if you are intending to do this, you'll have to do your homework and find out what other streams are there, especially ones that you can actually link to the type of person you are and your personality and the type of work you prefer. So the first thing or stream that exists is software development. Here is where you create and design any sort of software, whether it's websites or applications. So this is where you'll be designing, working towards, or debugging software within the tech space. The second one is data science and analytics. Now with data science and analytics, you'll be working with a lot of data. You'll be working with a lot of analyses skills, or gaining a lot of analysis skills, where you actually interpret and package data and you package data into information or insights that can be used by a company, an individual, or an organization. So this can be literally any sort of data, from KFC trying to understand what sort of meals people prefer, to a coding company that is trying to understand what are some of the features that people like and respond to. Even something like Instagram, for example, has someone who is doing the data and analytics to understand the behavior of their users and to cater to their users. So literally any business that you can think of does collect some sort of data, and they need to interpret that data, and usually they'll get someone who's done some sort of data science and analytics course to assist with this. Then you have cybersecurity. Now, cybersecurity deals with any protection measure or security measure that is online. So think whatever security or protection measures that you need to have on the different apps you have, whatever protection that users need when using specific apps, or even for companies, for example, when it comes to protecting the company's intellectual property and some of the useful information or even applications that they use. There is a way in which they need to protect that, and they usually get someone who is within cybersecurity to assist with this. So essentially, cybersecurity has to do with protecting systems and networks. Then we have AI, artificial intelligence, as well as machine learning. So these have to do with building artificial intelligence systems and actually adding to the intelligence. So things like training whatever has been built and feeding it information that builds onto its intelligence so that it is able to keep up and be useful regardless of what it's about. So something like ChatGPT, someone had to build that, someone had to train that, and even as you use it, and that's what's beautiful about AI, is that as you use it, you yourself are involved in the training of this. So you can be the person that does the initial training and the initial design of this if you get into AI as well as machine learning. Last but not least, we've got cloud computing, and this has to do with building systems that are stored on a cloud or somewhere on a network. Now, this is a very huge industry and there's a lot to it. It goes beyond just the Google Drive and iCloud and stuff. There's quite a huge industry that has to do with like cloud computing and all of that. If you think of where different networks are housed, how they're housed, how they're protected, where they're housed, things like that, all of that would be designed, managed, or even protected by someone who is within the cloud computing space. So I hope this has given you a good starting point on what are some of the things you can consider when it comes to getting into tech and where you can start looking when it comes to organizations that can help kickstart your journey. Of course, don't forget the usual tools that we have to our disposal, which is YouTube, like things like different course platforms like Coursera, Udemy. All of those definitely do have courses that you can also do. However, they are most likely paid for a lot of the times. So exploring things like YouTube as a start, especially when you're still doing your research, is a good point to start. And then finding organizations where you can be funded, such as your Code Academy, She Codes Academy, and We Think Code, and exploring those going further. Last but not least, and this is very important, remember to be kind to yourself as you're embarking on this journey. Tech is by no means an easy industry to get into. You do need to put in the work, you do need to practice, you do need to get into whatever area of tech you want to be a part of and be knowledgeable in. You do need to master those skills. So you do need to be patient with yourself as you're embarking on this journey. Just because it's not a degree doesn't mean it's going to be a walk in the park. So approach that with that winner mindset and willing to go all the way when it comes to getting out of your way with the practice and getting out of the way with reaching out for more resources and asking people on the internet questions. When you hit like an iceberg, when you're busy working on this, you can definitely ask people how you can debug your code, how you can get out of whatever challenge you're facing in the moment, and people can usually be of assistance. If this video was useful to you, please do give us a thumbs up. I hope you explore the tech space. However, if you are considering exploring another space without necessarily going the traditional route of studying further, let us know what space that is and we could cover that industry in our next video. See you in the next one. Bye.